Hello everybody, Chef Seis here, and I'm going to show you how I sharpen my knives. So this is the one that I've been using most often, and it's a Shun knife, and it's a mixed steel. But basically I'm going to use a whetstone. There are two different types of stones. There's a whetstone and an oil stone. For this type of knife, I always use a whetstone. Now what I mean by wet is you just soak it in water. So this has been soaking for quite some time. There's a few things about them. I generally go for one, like grit, meaning how smooth or how rough the surface is. This is fairly smooth. I don't need a multitude of stones. I use one that's about this. It's probably like 800, maybe 1,000, and you just have to work on it. So basically, knife shape. This is a chef's knife. Kind of applies to other knives, but basically there's an edge here, and what I'm doing is I'm creating an edge. So people say sharpening steel, that tool that looks like a bar. That's just for kind of making the teeth that get knocked out of line, and then make them go straight. So for a moment it seems like it's sharper, but at the end of the day, you have to build an edge. And this is how you build an edge, and this is how I do it. So about a 45, and you want to create some pressure, but you want equal pressure. So the number one thing that can create problems is if you don't put equal pressure on this, what happens is you get a bow in your knife. So when you're cutting down on a surface, like a cutting board, it's got like kind of a divot, so you can't get a straight cut through. So that's what you want to avoid. So it takes some practice. I always put something down. This has a stand too, but just for extra purposes, I'm going like this. But now I'm keeping this here and keeping an even pressure all the way through on one side. So when you're doing on this side, you'll feel the sharpness coming on the other side. And then you have to flip it over and go like this. Give it some pressure and do this. So sometimes I vary my angle a little bit. Like I said, 45 is the most common, but I try to build a little bit of a flatter edge first to kind of grind it down, and then go a little bit further in angle. But you don't want to go more than 45. And then as you get good at this, you can feel it going back and forth, back and forth. And so it's going to take a few runs, add in some practice, some pressure, and then you're going to have a really nice sharp knife. So that'll go a little bit of a lesson for you on how to sharpen these things. I also want to point out that I'm wearing a t-shirt from my Ego Cocos line. This is the Master Cut series, and the first of the line, it's the Julienne cut. So check it out on my website.